Cameron, I will start with you. The eligibility debate there's a lot of talk about it at the moment. The impact that it could have on Origin, the impact it could have on international football. There's going to be some sort of big discussions happening with the Commission, etc. Where do you think, or where would you like it to land?
Well, I've had a stance for quite some time, Brace, that if you played State of Origin, you should play for the Kangaroos, or you should be available for the Kangaroos. But I think we can all acknowledge that the landscape of the NRL has changed significantly over the last 10 years. I think the percentage of Polynesian players in our game now, it's almost 50-50, or 50% Polynesian players playing in our game, which is an incredible amount of Polynesian players. And it's a credit to those young men and women that are playing our game and are playing at this level. So, when I look at the situation that we find ourselves in with Payne Haas, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow and Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, all of these guys represent their states, either Queensland, New South Wales, talking about the possibility of defecting from the Kangaroos now to go and play for Samoa. I can understand that. You see the tears from Tino and the significance of why he is able to play in the NRL and play for Queensland in the State of Origin was because one of the greats of our game and greats of Queensland, Arthur Beetson, recruited his father from Samoa out here to Australia. So I can understand the significance of then wanting to go on and represent Samoa. Looking back on my career, I was only eligible to play for the Kangaroos. I didn't have any sort of dual eligibility like these players that we're watching on screen. So I'm starting to soften my, opinion on that debate. And allow or relax those rules to allow these guys to make that decision to play for whatever country they believe they want to play for.
Which was Victor Radley's decision to play for England, and he was more than happy to miss out on State of Origin to do that, Gal. But do you think we'll be seeing him available for selection next year?
I'm like Smithy. At the start of the year, I was like, look, a lot of these guys, most of these guys we're talking about are born in Australia. If you're born in Australia, you pay tax in Australia, you live in Australia, you're Australian. You're Australian. You should be playing for Australia. But I understand they want to represent their heritage, so I am starting to soften on it now. But I think this is more of an international rule problem than an Origin problem for me. I think you should have to choose your international eligibility at the start of your career. So just when you're 16, 18 years of age, you should have to choose who you want to play for. I don't like the fact these guys that play for Australia, they can now go and play for Tonga or Samoa or Italy or France or wherever it might be. I actually hate it. I think it's totally wrong. Like at the start of your career, you should have to choose your international eligibility and stick to it. As far as Origin goes, as long as you're eligible to play for New South Wales or Queensland, you're in that state, you live in that state, you play your first game of international footy by the time you're 12 or 13 years of age, then you should be eligible to play for New South Wales or Queensland. I get that. But when it comes to international footy, choose your eligibility early on, very early on, so you don't have to deal with this stuff. I hate the fact players can chop and change.
Final word from you on this one?
Yeah, the only reason we're doing that is because we're in a transition period. It was only 10 years ago that we could actually field Pacific Island nations, with NRL quality talent. So the rules have to change. The demographic of our game has changed incredibly over the last 15 years, let alone over the last 40 years when Origin first started. I'm 100% with you. I don't think you could say, well, I'll play for the Kangaroos. If I don't make that, now I'll go and play for another country. Or, I've played for the Kangaroos for a while, now I want to go and play for Samoa and Tonga. And eventually the eligibility rules won't allow that. You will have to declare, when you're young, who you want to play international football for. If you qualify to play Origin football in this country because you were born in this country, or you came to this country at a certain age, or you played junior football here and you developed here, you have the right to play Origin football. The international stage should be completely different. And it's the international stage that ultimately is going to sell this game beyond our shores, beyond what it is domestically at the moment. If we want our game to truly grow, it's on the international stage that it will happen. Pacific Islands, UK, New Zealand, everywhere else we can get the game to play. That's where it's got to grow. So we want our players playing for those nations of heritage or where they feel that they should be playing.
How much does the game really think? How much does the game really care about that? We've gone from, in my time, 22 rounds to 24 rounds to 26, 25. Now we're at 27 rounds. We've got 2 or 3 more teams coming in the competition. Yeah. How much do they really care about the international game?
Well, they haven't cared enough. That's been the problem because there really hasn't been an international game. When you look at it, it's only been in the last 10 years that the Pacific Island Test football has really started to take on significance because they're very prominent NRL qualified players. Every player who plays international football, other than if you're in the UK, will have to play in the NRL. That's why the NRL should control international football. The NRL should control an 8-year rolling, calendar of rugby league to make sure we're not playing 27 rounds of domestic football, that we do have windows in the middle of the year for test football, and that we're not playing through till the end of October and starting again in early February. But we're in a transition phase. That's why someone's got to get hold of it right now, because now's a good time to strike.
Bang on. Next issue, Cam, Gal Sharks. 2-point winners over last place South. What can we read into that? Are they the real deal or fool's gold?
Oh, well, they need to improve, don't they, the Sharkies? And listening to Fitzy after the game, he wasn't overly happy, particularly with their attack. I think they just bumbled their way through this match. And I'm not sure whether that was an attitude issue or whether they just played poorly. They were taking on a South team that have been hit extremely hard by injuries. They lost another one on the weekend with Tavita Totola. So Jackie White, he's going to be missing a few weeks. Well, he's going to contest, but he's going to miss a few weeks. But I just don't know about the Sharkies. When they're on, they look really, really good. But when they're off, they look very mediocre. I think Brayley's had an outstanding last 5 weeks, and that's why they've been up and about. But to only just sneak past a team that's struggling as badly as the Rabbitohs are, they're possibly looking at a wooden spoon. To sneak past them by just 2 points, I'd be a little bit concerned for all Sharky supporters. I'd like to get Gal's take on this one.
Win's a win. Win's a win, boys. Win by 1, win by 30. It's 2 points. Tell you what, I reckon the Warriors or the Broncos would have taken it on the weekend. But anyway, move on.
Gus, got to ask, the Melbourne Storm, they get by the Roosters in a unbelievably entertaining and tight match in the end, but they've lost Jerome Hughes. Can they survive and stay in the 4 and still push for a premiership without him before finals?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely they can survive without him. They'll have a couple of handy replacements in Pezzett and Wishart, which will be able to do the job. Remember, they've still got Harry Grant, they've still got Cameron Munster, and they've got Pappenhausen to come back. Jerome Hughes will be a bonus when he comes back for the final. So I don't think it's really going to affect the way that club functions and the way that team functions. They'll cover for Jerome Hughes. They will cover for that position in the next 6 weeks and win the games. Bizarre game the other night.
If he can't come back, do they win the comp? Can they win the comp if he can't come back?
Absolutely they can.
Do you reckon they can win the comp without him?
Of course they can.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think they can win the comp without him.
And just on the Sharks are in front of the Panthers at the moment. They've
They
had more
are.
wins than the Panthers.
They've won 11 games.
They're in 5th position. It's your stupid buys that keep stuffing up the ladder.
Exactly.
Your buys. You're
2
the only
points.
person keeping buys in the game.
No, I'd rather the 2 points not be there, but while they're giving
That's
us
all
the
you
2
talk
points,
about.
it's just fun to count. The Raiders still got a bye to come. Anyway.